Good afternoon, good evening, good night, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Greetings, salutations, and 10,000 blessings upon your head. My name is Reverend Phoenix Coffin Williams. I'm actually not going to be appearing on camera today for this discussion. Um, but my name is Phoenix Coffin Williams. I am the first priest of the Corellian tradition, and I'm the chief priest of the Temple of Holistic Knowledge here in Buffalo, New York. And if you are here, you're here for season 2, episode 8 of Fridays with Phoenix, where we are going to be continuing our discussion about Kemetic spirituality. Last time when we met, we talked about the way that the divinities broke down into the personality components, and we talked about the ways that Kemetic gods and goddesses represented principles of creation, but also principles of our personality, and that our work spiritually did have an impact on balancing these forces in our minds so that we could achieve enlightenment, so that we could attain enlightenment and kind of master the physical plane, and really attain a purified personality where we are unified with our higher selves, so to speak. Today, we are going to talk specifically about the goddess Auset, who is known as Isis to the Greeks. We are going to talk about some of her myths. We are going to talk about some of the names that she goes by. And I really do just want to use the time today to celebrate this particular divinity as a very prolific component of Kemetic spirituality. Um, Lady Isis is if is a phenomenally prolific divinity. She's known as the Queen of Heaven, the Lady of 10,000 Names. And to modern pagans, she really is the force that sustains the imagery of the Divine Mother, complete with a young babe on her lap or, suckling a child or what have you. And for those of us who do look deeply into mythology, we also know her as uniquely skilled in magic. We know her as a very loyal companion and a devoted wife. So disciplined and so loyal and so devoted was Lady Aset that her power was able to bring back the dead. She is technically a goddess of both the sun and the moon, as she's often depicted or like seen in hieroglyphics with a solar disk in her crown. Additionally, in Kemetic teachings, Aset is the great granddaughter of the Lord of all creation. So that's Ra, that's Atum, depending on the stories that you are from. Depending on what part of, if you're from Memphis or Thebes or from Anu, the names get changed up a little bit, some of the details get changed. But Aset was the great granddaughter of the Lord of all creation. She is born from Geb and Nut, just like Asar and just like Sutek and Nepted, who are her siblings. She's the mother of Heru, or Horus. She occupies a remarkably powerful position in the Ennead, or the company of gods that makes up Kemetic spirituality. So, as well as a powerful aspect in the construct of the mind. So for the purposes of what we're talking about right now today, the mind is broken down into three parts. It's the instinct, which is governed by Anpu, who we did talk about, the intellect, which is governed by Jehuti, and then the intuition is governed by Aset. And when it comes to the principles of creation and its sustenance, Aset is the principle of transcendence. She's the moment when you finally understand something to the point that you are able to replicate it automatically. The moment is called Sa, S-A-A. One of the other mysteries about Aset, and by extension about her twin sister Neptet, is that Aset is an aspect of Ma'at, or Mayat, as some people might say. And Ma'at is truth, order, balance, justice, harmony, reciprocity. Very noble, virtuous. Um, but Lady Aset, Lady Isis, is a component of Ma'at. Um, And again, Ma'at is a divine component of the Supreme One. When it comes to the development of the mind, though, in preparation for the use of the soul's full power, we develop from Anpu, from instinct, to Jehuti, to intellect, to Sa, that aha moment where we finally get it all, to Aset, to Unren Ra. Unren Ra is the transcendental name of Ra. And through Aset, transcendence can occur to the point where we can stop time and see all of creation in its undifferentiated forms. Now, how this occurs is revealed in mythology. In the myth where Lady Isis forms a venomous snake out of Lord Ra's spittle and some clay, forms a serpent, and on a little walk, bites Ra, injects him with the venom, excruciating and writhing in pain. Ra is. He's certain he's gonna die unless he gets healed. And Lady Isis, Lady Aset, she refuses basically to heal him until she knows her secret name, where she says, you can only be healed with your true sacred name, secret name. And so, to save his own life and to save all of creation, Ra gives the name over to Aset. She whispers her charm, the pain ceases, creation is secure. And, again, I say, as I always say, we are not ever supposed to view mythology as literal. We're supposed to look at it as allegory. So the cunning behavior has a deeper meaning. The utilizing the spit and the clay to make the venomous snake has a deeper allegorical meaning that we're meant to grasp onto when we are listening to and contemplating the sacred teachings. Perhaps recognizing that cunningness does play a role in the enlightenment process might be one of the things to latch onto. But either way, Lady Isis did end up getting the secret name of Ra. She used it to heal him, of course, but once she knew it, she knew it. And having access to that power was now certain or short for her. Having access to that state of enlightenment, to that transcendence, was forever bound to her or associated with her. It also teaches us that knowledge is an essential component to success. Patience as well, an essential component to success. When it comes to working with Lady Aset or any of the other members of the Chatat Pater, or the company of the gods, the energy that you put into them will be reflected in your life. The energy that you put into that relationship, the energy that you put into that magic, the energy that you put into purifying your personality with, their essence, the more energy you put into path workings, the more energy that you put into channeling, the more energy that you put into prayers. All of these things are things that help us purify our personality out of an ego place and into a place where we are more ready to receive our higher selves and really maximize on that connection. And we're really ready to transcend and master the physical plane the same way that Heru or Lord Horus transcended and mastered his uncle Set, who was ego. When you work with Lady Auset, one of the keys to recognizing the mastery is that aha moment and the way you experience it, how you experience it, being able to recognize it when you see it. We have all transcended. I will say that. That's very important. We have all transcended from one state of being to another. All of us have transcended from a state of being someone who um, could not talk to someone who could talk. And that moment where you realize you could use your words to get your needs met, that is Sa, S-A-A. The moment where you realize that you could talk to continue to convey your ideas and you can replicate it over and over and over again, that is that transcendence. And depending on how we reincarnated into this life, we all have various degrees of transcendence that we have already attained, that we have already worked through, that we have already earned through working on our karma throughout lifetimes. Lady Isis, Lady Aset, is a goddess who has lots of different practices and traditions and people tied to her as devotees and as traditions. And so some traditions might celebrate her in some ways, and it may or may not be based in Kemetic spirituality. Other places might celebrate her in different ways, and it might be related into a more hermetic spirituality. Other folks might, venerate her, honor her, and draw on her power in a ceremonial magic kind of form. Um, I know that, and I have been, learning more and more that there are postures that are related to her in God forms, and they have heavily influenced Western magical systems. Um, that's how prolific she is. And so you are likely to see the more that you balance her essence in your personality, the more that you embody her principles, the more that you kind of champion her as a way of attending to and restoring Ma'at in all of the aspects of your lives, the more you will see your ability to move seamlessly through the realms. You could set aside the veil a little bit more easy and peer into the upper realms a little bit more easily. You can make things manifest in a more purified kind of way. Sanctity and cleanliness is very, very important when it comes to deepening your practice with Lady Aset. If you wanted to, some of the things that you could do is you could put some of your favorite soaps, some of your favorite oils, some of your favorite perfumes, your favorite loofah, like your great goddess bath time, shower time routine can be dedicated to Lady Aset every single night. And in that way, you can attend to your physical body, you can attend to your spiritual body and your spiritual mind, and to your emotional needs, like right in the shower. And, practice purifying yourself in that kind of way, purify your personality and your body at the same time. Additionally, making offerings to her of candles, of milk, of water, of honey, of lavender, of oranges, absolutely appropriate. Doing things to help mothers, also ways to honor her, and dedicating certain acts to her is a great way to deepen your relationship. But when it comes to doing public acts, make sure that you consider letting someone know that you doing it in the name of a spirit who motivates you or who empowers you. Deepen the relationship that way. That way it's not like you loving on these divinities in secret. You building all these secret altars to them at home, and you asking them to make very real changes in your life. And then, afterwards you make another secret offering of milk and honey to them. No, go ahead and talk in open. Like, I'm here doing this walkathon to honor Lady Isis, or to Isis, Aset, to whatever the divinity is, to honor, Nebtet, to honor Bastet, who, and I do definitely recommend this, no matter what pantheon it is that you working with, no matter what pantheon your divinities come from, acknowledge those relationships out front, out loud, whenever it is safe and realistic to do so. Think about, having a friend who only talked to you when you needed something, who only dropped by for a cup of tea when they needed something, and who only like really relegated that relationship to a secret. It might not feel all that great. So bringing some light into the relationship, allowing your spirit to take some credit for some of the great things that it does for you, is a great way to deepen that relationship as well. Now, you don't have to proselytize or draw anyone into your practice, but you can just say that, like, I fucks with Lady Isis. It's just like a way of saying that. I fucks with Aset. Dua Aset. Might be a way of just like acknowledging that and just like putting, that stuff in your language. Um, if you were someone who expresses your relief in the form of thank God, thank Goddess, you might just say Dua Aset, Dua Asar, Dua Ra, Dua Atum, as a way of just like naming that principle in particular and how it landed, in a way for you to just like have gratitude in that moment. Of course, magic is something that we said falls within the wheelhouse of Lady Aset. And I did talk about, the walking between the worlds kind of thing and the manifesting kind of thing. But even if you are the kind of person who prefers to approach the altar with a petition, some oils, some candles, you maybe incorporate some threads, some dolls, some pins, some needles, some pop, like whatever it is that you do to kind of channel your magic, you can, do that in the name of Lady Aset. You can build up your entire list of correspondences based on either solar or lunar correspondences. You can do archetypes as, a mother. You could do the archetypes as a kind of warrior, depending on whatever kind of mythologies you've exposed yourself to, you've been able to read. You can make offerings, that come from those what I would consider scriptures, and you can build correspondences based on, those stories, which again I do consider those to be scriptural, and they give us hints on how to work with the goddess and how to behave in ways that support our own purification of our personalities. I do want to, before I get out of here for today, I want to share a prayer with everyone. This prayer is meant to help clear out any mental clutter. Of course, you engage with deep breathing, and you can say it as many times as you want to, but it is dedicated to the Kemetic pantheon. Breathe in. I offer my attention and my mind to the principles of creation as embodied by the Netteru. I seek freedom and separation from all things that distract me from my true self at this time. So mote it be. I have found that saying that prayer in the morning gets me ready to have a blessed and a holy day, keeps me ready to fulfill my vows and the oaths that I made when I took on the mantle of the high priesthood, the second degree priesthood, the first degree priesthood, um, in any of the elevations that I've received after that. I've found that that prayer does help prepare me to do any kind of spiritual work, whether it be prepare services for the community, whether it be channeling messages, getting ready for divination rituals, um, any of the kind of things. I do find that that prayer is helpful. And if you want to provide some feedback about it, feel free to provide some feedback about it. If you want to use it, feel free to utilize it. I offer my attention and my mind to the principles of creation as embodied by the Neteru. I seek freedom and separation from all things that distract me from my true self at this time. So mote it be, amen, ashe, all of the above. Thank you all for joining me today on this particular episode in dedication to the Goddess Auset. Um, If you want to, go ahead and interact with me in the comments, but otherwise, find me. I am the first priest of the Corellian tradition. I'm on Facebook. Of course, I'm here in all of these places where you are seeing this message. Um, and then if you want to learn more about the Corellian tradition, www.corellian.com. And if you are interested in deepening your magical education and deepening your spirituality, check us out, www.witchschool.com. All right, folks, blessed be. I'll talk to y'all later next Friday. Deuces.